stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, this is easier, but it's got a post. Give me a second here. We'll get started. There we are. Okay. Each day, where there's a will, there's a way. All right, all done. Let's start with the song that you just heard. Hey, Jerry, my number one fan. Some days my only fan. She knows I could joke around about that and why. So, um, a lot of people do rewatching it Saturday. So I just felt like running my mouth a little bit more. And we have some neat things happening. And I thought I'd come and share them with people. Well, let's talk about that song first. I actually just talked to my niece about it. And she's already written a full version of it. And we were supposed to go record it, but our sound guy's computer went kaput and died. So I've been looking for some other places, but she's still graduating, things like that. So we're going to be putting out the full length song. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sit down with her. Okay. When she wrote that, she was 17. She's 18 now. And what I want to do is sit down with her and ask her, what was your thought process while writing this? Okay. Because really the only addiction, alcoholism that she's known is me. And she had seen me a couple times when I was drinking, but I never really did anything too bad in front of them. They actually appreciated it. we were having New Year's, and it was like 9 o'clock, and we weren't being very loud at all. And they were over. They were still young. This was probably 7, 8 years ago. And the neighbor comes and knocks on the door. He's like, "Can you please keep it down? We weren't being very loud." And I told him, "Yeah, we can turn it down a little bit, but we're not being that loud." And he's like, "Well, if you keep it up, I'm gonna call the cops." And of course, I had been drinking, and I told him, "Go call the cops, you fuckhead. You know, call the cops on a couple of kids having fun. Go ahead and call them." And I told him to piss off and shut the door in his face. Um, I've always found that people find it funny when I yell at other people. I think it makes them nervous. That's what happens. So, all right, let's get to the history of trudging together. Because there, and it's kind of nice that we've been around long enough to have history. That's kind of cool. So, in the beginning, when I started all this, it was actually called a closed mouth friend. Okay? And what I was doing is I was setting a place for people to go online and get help. We would provide people with peer counseling, and I didn't even know about recovery coaching at this point. I hadn't even heard of it. And I started to get that going, closed mouth friend. Um, and I had the concept, and it was a great concept. It was. It's a lot of how I do things now. We even had a program called Bridge the Gap. That's how far forward we tend to think in this business. All right. So it started out as a place for people like myself. That meaning that you know I was dealing with very high anxiety and PTSD at the moment, and I couldn't come out. I also didn't have a car. I could have taken the bus. That wouldn't have been a problem, but I just could not bring myself to do it. I was too scared to leave the freaking house, man. And if I did leave the house, I had to have my wife with me. There's no way, and I still do that a lot. If I go somewhere I don't really know, my wife's probably with me. Um, we do almost everything together because we're inseparable. And actually, Shannon's the one that came up with the name for the Bridge the Gap. And the Bridge the Gap program was for those coming out or those coming out of detox waiting for treatment. That's what it was. Kind of like what they're doing now. Well, I saw that that was probably way too big for what I was doing. And obviously, I wasn't ready, man. I wasn't ready. So closed mouth friend was kind of stagnant. So what I decided I was going to do next was that I was going to go live on Facebook every day, and I would do it for 15 minutes. Okay? Go back and take a look at some of those. I share them every now and again, and you can see the anxiety, you can see the PTSD. And I would go on, and the reason that I did that was so that I didn't feel so fucking alone, man. That because people will write back, yeah, I go through that too, and it sucks that you're going. And maybe I was making myself the poster child of PTSD. I did for a little while. I would get past that. Um, I still talk about it, but you know, before that's all I talked about. So I started making these videos. All right. Looks like we got a couple other people on. If you guys could say hi, I would love it. You're not required to, but it's cool to know who's on. Um, and I would start doing that, and I've been doing it for about 6 months. When another person in the program reached out and said, "Hey, Dion, you're making some progress. People are watching your videos, and you're making you're making an effect." 90% of the time, nobody watched the video, so I didn't know. I still have about the same amount of watchers as I did 3 years ago. You know, it's different people. People move on, man. That's what this whole thing is for. All right, trudging together is created to beat the hell out of. So somebody said, "Hey, you'd be a really good recovery coach," and they were correct. Yo, that's my babe. You'd stop flirting with me, Jerry. Shannon's here. My wife and I, we don't do the jealous thing. We don't. Right? That's what. That's why I'm such a free man to do what it is that I do, because I work and talk to a lot of pretty women. Okay, but she knows my intention. So let's talk about intentions. What was the intention of trudging together? The the whole point was to let other people know that they weren't alone. That was the whole point. And even from that point, I would follow the motto leadership by example. And that's what I do now. See, back then I was still leading by example. It's just, some of my examples were very hard to watch because you could see the pain in my face. You could hear the despair in my voice. But every time I went in and I talked about it, got a little bit better. And of course, therapy started, things like that. Yeah. um, so I would take the class to become a recovery coach. This part might feel a little weird because some fucked up shit happened to me. All right. So I became a recovery coach, and I went to work for a company. There's no point in even mentioning the company. Um, and I was working there, and I've been doing this for a while, right? So at this point, my PTSD and my anxiety were not where they needed to be. And what I was hoping was that I could get into recovery coaching and that would kind of solve it through service, but no, that didn't work. That didn't work. I would actually have to go to a therapist and do some deep digging, a lot of EMDR, a lot of talking, a lot of processing. That's what I've been doing over the last year now, right? In fact, that's a great example of what the things that Trudging Together does. I got a letter one day saying you can no longer see your therapist because Medicated had made some changes. Hey, Gary, good to see you. Had made some changes, and they were just letting me know that I can no longer see my therapist. And that fucking killed me. I didn't know what to do. I was I was pissed. I was so mad. So after I got done being mad, I started thinking, I'm like, I can't be the only person this has happened to. There's no way. So what I did is I started going out to all the different counseling places, to all these different places to find a coach that would fit my needs. Okay. Meaning that they need to know EMDR. They need to be a therapist. A CAC would help. Okay. Um, I knew I would be doing EMDR. So I wanted a female for this because I feel like they're a little bit more honest when it comes to, they're a little bit more tuned in, right? And of course, telehealth. I don't like traveling over to you. I like it. And I did some digging because, and then of course, they also had to be able to take Medicaid knowing that it was not going to be cut off. And I ended up finding a place. Okay. And now I'm able to refer to that place comfortably, knowing that the person I sent over there is going to be treated with just as much respect as me. Okay. How did I know that this place ended up being really good? I knew I did some digging, right? Went on, and the first cool thing was I got to pick who they gave me options. So I filled out a little questionnaire and they gave me options. This made me feel good because now I felt like I had control over my own mental health. Okay. That was a big one thing for them. The first time I ended up talking to my therapist, I could tell how much she loved her job. And being a therapist, there's nothing worse than being in a therapist where you're constantly degraded and gaslit and things like that. Don't you think it doesn't go on? It does all over the fucking place. Okay. And that's how I knew that this was a good place. Right. Other ways that I know it, I've been in therapy since I was 12. Okay? I've been a therapist. All right. That kind of gives you an idea of what Trudging Together was starting to do. So at that point, I also decided that I wanted to start doing podcasting. And that's when the podcast started getting going. And we'd meet people. The way that worked in the beginning is I like you too, Chris. The way that we would do it, I forgot what I was fucking talking about. Chris's fault. Um, I put on the podcast. We'd have people actually come to the studio. It's a lot of fun, right? I work for this company. I had 2, 3 clients. Things are going well with my clients. Things seem to be going well with the company. And then a major shift happened in recovery coaching. And it was that we could start taking insurance, including Medicaid. And this was a big deal. I remember hearing the news. I was fucking excited too. Okay. Because I had put my trust in the fact that other people had done the work the right way to get us to where we were at. And I was wrong. They hadn't. Okay. Um, to give you an idea, I looked at my contract with them and I know that this was cut and paste from the internet. I know that no lawyer took a look at it. And I've been dealing with IC contracts for 20 freaking years. And there are certain things in contracts that you cannot put in there. Okay. One of those is this. If you leave or get fired, you cannot work in this field for 2 years. Okay. You're not allowed to do that. That's illegal. Everybody has a right to work. A federal judge said no. I know because I was there. Right. And we were there I was there for a month in Houston, the worst fucking city in the whole freaking world, I swear to God. But it took us 2 years to do that. So I know contracts. So I looked at my contract from this company that hired me, and it was in there. So that told me that they had cut and paste, and I should have done this before, but I didn't. That means that they just cut and paste my contract. This is my legal contract. So what does that tell you? Laziness. What does that tell you? They didn't do the work. Okay. Have you ever seen Poltergeist? Okay. They moved the tombstones, but they left the bodies. Okay. They did half the work. We started going along and I was starting to get angry because I wasn't getting clients sent to me, and they called me and said, "Hey Dion, would you mind taking over the phones? I'm too busy with clients." And my thought process was, if you're so busy with clients, why aren't you giving them to me? Because the way I saw it, yeah, when somebody comes to me and they say, "Hey Dion, I'm looking for a recovery coach," I'm a recovery coach, right? Doesn't mean they're going with me. I may even outright say, this person will be work much better for you. It's for me, it's about the concern of that person. Okay. And my job is to let as many people as I can know how to get sober and stay sober. I've helped thousands of people do this. Thousands. Okay. And the people that brought it to me helped thousands of people. And you get to help thousands of people. Right? So that did not end well. Unfortunately. There was gaslighting involved, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not going to get into that because it's not really what we're talking about, right? What we're talking about is how things grow and when it's done naturally, that it's done correct. See, I'm at 3.5 years. If I would have been any of these other people, I'd have a building and groups. But you can't, if you grow like that, things get mixed. They get mixed. So we split ways, and my problem at this point was I started seeing people doing things with Medicaid that they were not allowed to do. Okay. First thing I saw was a client living in somebody's home. You can't do that. That's illegal. Medicaid will not pay you to have your people living in your home. Okay. So it was little things like that I was seeing. I'm like, I don't even want in the game. And I separated myself from it. Right. And over the next year, I would actually have to work on my reputation. I would have to work on my reputation. And it was tough because when that happened, everybody knew excommunicated me. They just stopped talking to Dion because the cool people said so. And then I started finding out more. Then I started finding out more. Then these people got very, very fearful of me. I have friends that I've known for 30 fucking years that won't talk to me. Right? When I subpoena your ass and we go to court, you're going to have to talk. Yes, that's part of what Trudging Together does. I will not tolerate people bullying or breaking the fucking law to provide people with recovery. If I see it, I will do something about it. And I'm a very tenacious person. I will not stop. I won't stop. I've always disliked bullies. Always. So that's kind of some of the stuff that Trudging Together does that people don't know about. But let's throw a couple of successes in there, things we've gotten done lately. Most recently, we were able to give a good solid voice on the homeless camp, where it should be, what it should look like. I think one of our biggest ones this last year was working with Aurora Mental Health, who, by the way, is teaming up with Trudging Together. I got that email this morning. And so I spent time getting to know people at Aurora Mental Health. I talked to the right people, that I got them to get to know me. And now we can have peer support specialists and detox. And I can tell you right now, their success rate's already going up. That means that there's going to be more people. See, this all starts with detox. It all, 90% of the time, it starts with detox, right? Whether you're at an actual detox or a hospital. So what I want Aurora Mental Health to be like, hey, Dion, there's a guy over here who needs a 12-step call done. Great. And I'm going to call you guys and you can go do some 12-step work. That's how it's supposed to be done. That's how it's supposed to be done. All right. We went through a very slow growing stage. What we would do from there, after that happened, it took me a couple months to even get my bearings again, because it fucking hurt, man. It did. It really hurt. And I would have a few people join me here and there. I never like to cover names because anonymity. A lot of people have stayed. A lot of people have. This happens more than anything. Hey, Dion, I want to be a part of Trudging Together. Great, let's talk and let's go over your passion. Oh, well, my passion's da 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 da. Well, let's talk some more. Turns out they have a much different passion, and Trudging Together can't do much. So, Trudging Together still did its job. Okay? The job wasn't to bring that person in so that they would donate to us. The job is finding the right place for the right person for the right reasons. And that's what it's all about. So, what do we got coming up? I think the question is, what don't we got coming up? Obviously, the Recovery Club is a big one. We went down to the church today. Check it out. It was a no-go, but that doesn't mean that they can't be a resource with us. I love what they're doing down there. Okay. But by the time they're open, they're going to have their own stuff going on during the day. What they did is they're like, when we're done, you can come hold your events here. I'm like, oh, that would be cool. So I could hold my events over there and maybe go find a smaller place, right? And that's starting to work into fruition. Now, just because I go talk to somebody and the answer is no, doesn't mean that it was bad. Right? See, because I wasn't a dick about it, we can go back to them at some point and talk to them again if we need to. Okay. So there is so much to the recovery to the recovery club. I don't know why I keep forgetting the word club, but I do. I was going to give you guys 5 of the groups that we're going to do, but I don't think it's on this one. But just the different types of meetings, like recovery dharma, um, the found it. So these are 5 of the types of groups that I want to start with. Okay. So this being a recovery club, we're going to move more into it being a membership thing, so that we can meet our dues and stuff like that. So obviously we're going to have AA, okay? Circle of Parents, Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, and Craft. Okay. Those are 5 of the ones that I'm starting with. Now, those are all alcohol based. So, what we need to do, we need to work on, some ACA, some Al Anon, but we need to also realize that the recovery club isn't just for alcoholics, it's for anybody that needs something in recovery. I don't care which one it is. Okay. The rules are you can't show up to our place drunk or high. If you do, you got to leave. That's the rule. Right? Or if you're being a dick, I'll boot you out, man. Right? Oh, well, it's the other rule. 13 stepping. I see that. And you'll get excommunicated. You won't be able to come back. Okay? There are some things I won't tolerate. Why? Because it has to be a safe space. And if Dion is around, it is a safe space. Why? Because Dion is willing to talk to other people to get their bullies gone. And you can trust in the fact that I'm a safe person. The one thing that I would like to do for our grand opening is have a recovery march around Aurora. Doesn't have to be like in the big streets or anything like that, but maybe start somewhere and end up at the club, right? And we could have, a couple hundred people or maybe 1,000 people out there doing a walk, you know. But it's got to be based around recovery for everybody. What else is going on with it? We are in with the Aurora Police Department Community Relations. They love what we do. They're going to be more than happy to come down and hang out, talk about different things, maybe talk with the kids, things like that. We'll have gas cards. We'll be working on, essentially, what else we're going to do? We will be putting roofs over people's house. Ah, we will be putting a roof over their head. Okay. There's money out there for that. There is. And I know the person to talk to, and I know what the requirements are in order for that to happen. I also know the correct sober livings. Okay. A lot of times people come to me, they're like, Dion, is this the right sober living? I'm like, they're okay, but I don't know. This guy's a little more gruff. I'd probably send him over here. That's more his type of people. Little things like that can make a huge difference in somebody else's recovery. Um, and of course, I'd love the podcast to blow up. That'd be nice, but that's more of it's a passion project, and we do it when we can. So, be ready, because something is telling me this is going to happen quicker than I thought it was. I was thinking a couple months. I was thinking up to 6 months, but with some of the things that it's going now, I'm simplifying it, which will make it easier to get done. So that's where we're going. That's what we do. We have t-shirts for sale. Go check those out on the website, trudgingtogether.com. We will also be adding green and pink for those of you that do not want black or purple. Um, but aside from that, what Trudging Together does, even if, let's say, I did not post on Trudging Together for a week, it would do just fine. It would. There might be a bunch of carpet cover posts or couch cover posts, but other than that, it would run fine. Hmm. Makes you wonder, huh? So, all right, that's what I got. 30 minutes of yakking. That's right. Recovery, recovery. We do it. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Jerry, Gary, Chris, it was good to see you all. Um, I would say that of my wife also, but I'm going to go upstairs and see her in person, which is much better. All right. I love you guys. Peace out and have a day.